This computer. All right, we're recording. Let me share my screen. I'm going to share, let's see, share a portion of the screen. Hopefully this won't be too confusing for you. That's so I can hopefully still see the chat and the waiting room and all that good stuff. So can you guys see my screen? Yes, good.
Yes.
Let me see if I can move this somewhere off the screen. This is awesome. You guys are so cool. So much fun. Okay. Well, that'll just have to kind of hover in place there while I kind of, oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, we're all learning Zoom. Here we go. Okay, welcome. Week 2, Foundations of Instructional Design for Educators. A little rocky start today, but I appreciate everyone's perseverance as we work out all these challenges that we're facing these days. Got the little, and I enabled my doorbell, so that's helping me to know that when folks are there. If it's annoying for you, I apologize. This is a slideshow from 2 years ago that I repurposed, and I thought, wow, this quote is really kind of it's right on the head for today. Our destination is so unknown, we have no idea, and we're learning so much about the journey, and especially with technology integration, we've kind of been forced into it for better or for worse. Those of us who do this for a living, we think it's for the better, but wish it didn't have to come down to a global pandemic to get teachers using technology in their classes. So we appreciate your perseverance and your participation in this course. Just a quick review. When you come into the Zoom room, mute your mic. I think I've got that set automatically. You guys have been doing well with that. Each week, we've got this Thursday at 4 p.m. seminar. We'll do our best to start on time and figure out where we're supposed to meet next week. You'll have a couple readings. There's a main reading and a supplemental reading each week. You'll have an assignment or two each week, and those assignments build in to your course project for the end of this course, and then weekly discussion topics. So, and I've had people contact me and just say, hey, this is too much for me right now. I need to bow out, and that's fine. I had a few people check out of my class, and I hate to see them go, but if it happens, that's fine. But if you get behind, it's okay. We really like you to keep up with the discussions as much. The assignments, those can kind of come in late if need be. Ideally, we have everyone stay right on time with everything. But if things happen, just reach out to your instructor, let us know, and do your best to keep up with the discussion if you can, because that's really, the timeliness of those discussions really is important for the class, because you guys learn way much more from each other than you do from us. That initial post should be in by Sunday sometime, and then your other 2 replies to other folks in your section are due by Wednesday night. All the assignments and discussions are due by Wednesday at midnight. And again, try not to get too far behind. Catching up is no fun. And it's a pass-fail course. You've got to complete all the assignments in order to pass. Questions on the expectations for the course? Good deal. And if you want, if you open up the participants window, you should be able to raise your hand or ask questions or tell me to speed up or slow down, and I'll try to keep an eye out for that. In fact, let me put this list. Wow, a lot of people in here. I'm impressed. All right. And so on the discussion again, this is a kind of a prompt on your responses. Last week was pretty straightforward. I loved your introductions. I caught up on those this afternoon. A lot of great folks in my section. Your initial post needs to be with video or some other kind of a tool, and this gives you honestly practice in recording yourself and seeing yourself on camera and listening to yourself, because video is, talking to your kids, especially if they're remote, is so important. And folks from the other courses have said that, this was such good preparation for what's going on right now. But your responses ought to be, thoughtful, and try to move the discussion forward, try to ask a probing or clarifying question. A lot of times we get the responses like, I agree with you, or I'm in the same boat, or, stuff like that. And, we really like to try to dig a little deeper and try to really have a rich discussion in there. So support your ideas, your opinions, make suggestions, expand, and move that discussion forward. And then lastly, just kind of a fun little infographic reviewing our personal learning network set up last week. Just some reasons why every teacher needs to have a personal or professional learning network. So learn the latest trends, and you guys are here trying to do that. Make those international connections if possible, flatten your classroom walls, collaborate globally. Some great ideas out there to share. Questions, comments on last week before we move along? I'll keep admitting people. There we go. All right, so let's go to this week, overview of week 2. So the reading this week is Classifying K-12 Blended Learning. Kind of ironic, and you guys have been living blended learning since March for sure. But maybe this will just kind of put some names to some of the situations you've been teaching in for the last, to end the year and to start this school year. There's also the supplemental reading this week is Chapter 1 of Enhancing the Art of Science with Teaching and Technology, and both of those are linked from the overview page and the reading pages. A little asterisk on there. There are a couple of courses that are self-paced that you could, if you really are kind of struggling with this or want some ideas or need some tips, or, these are linked to 2 kind of at your own pace. They're called MOOCs, Massively Open Online Courses. One is from USBE that was developed in partnership with UEN and the professionals up at the State Board, Principles for Remote Teaching and Learning. I've heard great things about the course. I haven't looked in and gone through any of the modules myself. And then Teaching Online, Learn at Home, self-paced MOOC. That came out back in like April to support teachers in their remote learning situation. So both of those you can sign up for. They are, the Principles for Remote Teaching and Learning, I think, is 3 credits. Teaching Online Learning, I'm not sure how many credits that is. I can check, or the link's there. So it won't let me click on it because I'm sharing my screen there. Let's see, there we go. Just jump in real fast. That is also 3 credits. So don't overextend yourself, but if you are looking for some more, some tips and tricks and things beyond what this course is offering for you, those are some good options for you. And then the discussion this week is opportunities and challenges of diverse learning environments. This ought to be a rich discussion as well, because there have been nothing but challenges, and I hope that we're starting to see some opportunities as far as these diverse learning environments go that we've been using and learning and teaching in. And then the activity this week is pick a learning environment, like your learning environment, your blended environment, whatever is going on, or a resource or a tool or something like that. Create or find an image that represents that environment, and then use a tool of your choosing, label and describe the different key aspects of that particular learning environment. And I know that sounds really strange as far as the description goes, but if you see a couple examples, it should make better sense to you. So these are some examples. Canvas, that's a learning environment that a lot of us are teaching in right now. And so just some mileposts or some things that happen inside of Canvas. Teachers can assign and correct quizzes online. Teachers can post videos. Students can see their grades and expectations. And so just what the Canvas learning environment looks like. Activity-based learning, there's some, if you have some maker spaces or, some labs or things like that, this teacher kind of diagrammed that environment as well. And there's some more examples in Canvas as well, some 3 different examples. So that should give you a good starting point for those. Just a quick tip, both of these were built with Google Drawings. and that's a Google document type that you may not be aware of. If you go into Drive and go to New and then go to More, Google Drawings is one of those options, and you can insert pictures and shapes and put text in the shapes and do all kinds of diagrams and cool things with Google Drawings. Very simple tool to use, and one that you guys should get familiar with. You can also use Adobe Spark or whatever you want for that. So let's see. Next, the reading highlights. Our reading this week, it kind of goes through and defines different methods or modes of blended learning. And again, we've probably been working in some of those right now. We've got the rotation model, where that's mostly in-person, brick and mortar kind of a settings where you can go through station rotation or lab rotations, flipping your classroom or individual rotations, and the text will go into more of that. But station rotation, probably just have a technology activity as one part of a bunch of centers that students can rotate through. The lab rotation model, not sure what that one is, but I'm guessing it might be more technology involved. I haven't reviewed the reading for a while. Flipped classroom, that's where all of your instruction, you offload the instruction through video or through that so that students watch the instruction at home before they come to class. And then when they get to class, you can use that time and regain that time for fun things, like labs and activities and stuff that, answer those specific questions that come up from the instruction. And then just recapture some of that lab time for things that need to be done in person or that benefit best from being done in person, and that one-on-one follow-up and things like that. So those are some of the parts of the rotational model. The flex model, I think a lot of us kind of maybe working in where we've got some kids remote and some kids in person, and we're working our best through that. The a la carte model is kind of a individual online learning where students are kind of picking and choosing what they want to learn. And then the enriched virtual model, I think we were all forced into that back in March, and some of us may be teaching in that model right now, where everything's online under the direction of you as the instructor. Sarah, notification coming in there. Okay. But one of the critical elements, there should be a critical element of blended learning, is that it involves some element of student control of time, place, path, or pace. And so time and place, I think we've kind of wrapped our brains around that with the switch to online learning. We're no longer restricted to the school day or school year, and learning is no longer restricted to the walls of the classroom. But path and pace might be something that might be new or foreign, or something a little bit harder for us to wrap our brains around, and something I'd really like you guys to try to focus on and figure out how you could implement some of that with your teaching. So path means that the learning isn't restricted by pedagogy used by the teacher. So what that kind of means is that my best example of that is the student can choose or has the option to demonstrate their knowledge in whatever way they choose. So like say, for example, I've done the Utah Counties project for 15 years, and I've always had them do a trifold brochure, and it's been successful and kids have a lot of fun with that. But what if students want to build a website? Or what if they wanted to do a music video or do a cartoon strip or something like that? Allowing them the freedom and the option of choosing how they demonstrate their knowledge. So if you just put out a rubric and say, hey, instead of me telling you exactly what I want you to do, here's what I want to see. These are the requirements. A rubric is a great thing to use with this. And then let them choose how they demonstrate that knowledge. Whether it's an online tool, whether it's paper, artwork, whatever, give them that choice. Because, in this day, students have so little control over their lives, and then, being forced to learn online and be at home and in this new situation even feels like there's less control over their learning. So any control or, keys we can give back to those students, they'll do better work, they'll be engaged, and you'll be surprised by what they can come up with. And then pace, that last bit, learning is no longer restricted to the pace of an entire classroom of students. We're working on getting towards that personalized, individualized learning. A lot of us have some software systems that kind of do that. I know IXL kind of gets at that. students can kind of go ahead, or you know, if they need to go a little slower, they control the pace of their own learning. So those are some good hallmarks or some good pieces of blended learning. And so keep those in mind as you do your reading and as we do the discussion this week. So questions on those? Any comments or anything like that? If you want to open up your mic or put something in the chat. I have not been watching the chat. Is there anything in the chat that folks are asking or commenting on?
I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So one of the questions that I've had as I looked at these are, I'm coming from a kindergarten perspective and wondering in a blended learning environment if materials are sent home. You know, do we still provide crayons? Or are they expected to have those? Because I know in an online class, you can tell them what technology to expect to have, but where do we go as far as art projects?
It's a great question. Any other, I know we've got a couple of other elementary teachers out there. Anybody else want to offer some suggestions? I can't answer the question. I don't know. And maybe bring that up in your discussion this week and see if Jill,
I was going to make the comment, when we did close in March, I did do just a couple of art activities, kind of just to, for the kids' enjoyment and to break things up a little bit while we were doing our other online learning. And I did send home, like they needed a Sharpie marker for one. And so I did send home everybody a black Sharpie marker, and, you know, paper wasn't too bad and I could use that from school. But I did go, you know, as we went through their desks from school, because we had provided crayons at school. And so I did send that, but I sent a few materials, but tried just to do easier art activities. And I know the 5th grade teacher at our school tried to do some science activities, but it was all based on materials you could find in your house right now. And so she kind of looked for those ideas. And I was impressed with her ingenuity, you know, and trying to find things that the kids could do with everyday things that hopefully they would have in their home. But I did send some home, and I guess that's up to your administrator and your school, you know, and what you've got there.
Thanks, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi. So our school, we closed sooner because I work at an international school in China. Wow. And I'm currently in the US, but the kindergarten, the teachers put a lot of work into it. Like they provided packets, and like they would cut things up for them so that the kids can manipulate things as they taught live, because it was all taught live over Zoom. And so what they were showing them, the kids could hold it, and like, but yeah, they put together big packets and crayons and all sorts of stuff for them. It was a lot of work on their end. It was a lot of work on their end, but it was really successful because the kids could be touching things and not just looking at a screen. They could be doing it both at the same time, and it kept their attention longer that way. I don't know. Do you teach live? Like, is it like, how does that work? I don't know how it's working right now in the Utah schools.
It's different for everybody almost, yeah. Go ahead and answer.
Yeah,
it.
but
I currently am not in the classroom, so I was just curious how that was looking.
We have in our district, we have parents that have chosen to do online school but did not have a computer. And so our schools have been trying to round up computers and those types of things. So I really do think it depends on your district and what they have available.
Thanks, guys. Anybody else?
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, a little, you're soft, but speak up. We can hear you.
I'll try to speak up. Our art specialist found things to do when the coronavirus hit. For example, they created flowers with toilet paper cardboard rolls. The kids loved them, and then they took pictures of them and shared them on the website. Also, there are sites online like ABC. Yeah, they have ABC Paint if you were to go on and demonstrate or videotape yourself using ABC Paint, they might be able to do some art projects that way. Just a few ideas.
Thank you. We put that link in the chat so we can have that in the record so folks can go back and get that.
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Great discussion. That's why we meet in person, is to have that dialogue. Appreciate it. Okay, next. And that kind of leads into one of the questions there is that what are you teaching in right now? Are you with your students in person and kind of integrating technology, in some of those rotational areas? Are you completely virtual online right now? And so what I do, or, are we in a flex or hybrid situation? Flex means that, I've got some kids remotely that I'm trying to teach and still some kids in person. The hybrid model, like I know Davis District is meeting alternate days with half their kids, and then online learning is happening for everybody on Friday. So that's kind of that hybrid model. Or are you still trying to get your feet on the ground and still teaching, traditional face-to-face with not much technology integration? So what I'd like you to do, and I'll put this link in the chat, is head to menti.com or click on this chat or this text I'm going to throw in the chat room. I hope. Let's see if I can get this right. Chat, paste. There we go. So it's the menti.com link there in the chat room. And just pick one of those. You can choose up to 3 different models of how are you instructing students right now? Are you mostly, and again, I'll put this back up while you guys vote. Are you completely online? Are you completely face-to-face, or in kind of a hybrid model between those two? And I'll bring up that page here in a moment once I see that folks are voting. Again, the link is clickable in the chat. If you're following on the slides, this link will take you to the slides as well, or the voting page as well. So just get some quick feedback. Because I'm just curious. I just want to know what you guys are dealing with and going through, and what you're working with. So let me switch to here. In fact, I'm going to stop my screen sharing and go to full screen share. I will share this window. Share. Okay. You guys seeing my screen? We're good? Thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So let me come here, and I'm going to show the results and see what's happening here.
It keeps changing on a day-to-day basis.
That's true too. Okay. So most of us are kind of in that flex or hybrid situation. That makes sense, doing some rotation. Still folks doing mostly traditional, and that's great. I know you're in this class to learn, and you'll be learning, how to use some of these tools and integrate some of these, some of these amazing things that are out there for your students. But it's okay if you're still kind of, and good for you. Lucky to be in person with our students, and being, especially at this beginning of the year when building those relationships is so crucial. Just as far as, if we do have to go back, I hope schools don't have to close back down again. But if you have those relationships with your students and they know you and they trust you and they love you, they'll do anything for you. And so do take the time, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot, take this time to not worry so much about content, but to make sure that you build those relationships, learn those students' names, learn about them a little bit, teach them how to use the online tools just in case we do have to go back. So I appreciate you guys sharing that. That's kind of interesting. We're all over the place, and yeah, you're right. It does. It changes day by day. I peeked into the governor's press conference a little bit earlier today, and he said that they're going to hold off on any color changes in counties at least until next week. But he's really, really worried about what's going on in Utah County right now. Their numbers are starting to spike, and he just reinforced, folks please wear a mask, care for each other, and do what you can to protect your neighbors and yourself and your school. So I appreciate that. Let's stop the share and reshare. Let me switch back to my slides. Okay, back to Zoom. I'm going to share my screen. Advanced portion share. I apologize. I work out loud and I think through my steps as I go. Okay, so, and just a reminder that the course project, there is that open module at the end that you can have access to the instructions and what's expected on the course project, as well as opening up the Word doc or the Google Doc template, and maybe just kind of start to think about ideas about what you might want to try to do. It's going to be a 4-week unit plan. And again, all the activities that we're going to do throughout this course, they will be a part of that project and that plan. So it's due at the end of the course, December 9th. But we're just putting that out there so you guys can keep it in mind and make sure that you're moving in that direction. Okay, one of the requirements of your EdTech endorsement is to attend an EdTech conference. And so that's a little bit tougher right now than it kind of used to be. The options maybe have narrowed a little bit, but we're seeing some more online and virtual conferences coming up. We are planning on EdCamp Utah. It's going to be virtual statewide. In the past, we've had an EdCamp in Wasatch Front, like Salt Lake area, had one in the Alpine area, and then one down in St. George in February. But USET is just going to do one big Ed Camp this year. It's going to be November 14th. We are really close to being able to open registration. We'll let you know as soon as that happens. It's going to be like a 4-hour half-day conference on a Saturday, so that you don't have to worry about subs or anything like that. We are looking for folks to host those discussions. So if you're interested, let me know. I'm on the committee to plan that thing, and so we'd love to have different ideas. And it's not going to be like me leading a presentation with slides and you're running the show. We're just going to try to figure out topics that are open for discussion, and you'll just be in a presentation or in a session room with other educators, and you guys are just going to talk through. So maybe, how do I integrate technology with kindergarten students? That discussion we just had could be a great topic for EdCamp. ISTE, the International Society for Technology in Education, that's normally a giant summer conference that costs about $500 to attend in person, plus all the travel costs and everything. That is going to be virtual now this year. It's going to happen between November 29th and December 5th. That link there will take you to the registration page. Early bird registration ends October 1st, and it's going to be a whole lot less expensive to be a part of that this year. Our USET conference, we just decided today that it will be virtual. We had to take a little bit of a hit to cancel our in-person conference at the Utah Valley Convention Center so early, but at this point, there's really no way that we can safely feel good about trying to plan an in-person conference in early March. So USET will be virtual this year, but we will do our best to make it a great conference as well. So those are upcoming conferences. The Reimagine Learning Conference happened back at the end of July, but you can still go to UEN through that link and register and just watch through some of the sessions. A couple of folks I know in my section actually presented at that. They did a great job with that. And so there's some great learning that you can do right now and watch and record at your own pace. And that would count as being for your EdTech conference attendance. Does anyone know of any other options coming up? Wendy has raised your hand. Yes.
I don't know of any other conferences. I was just wondering, how do you report when you've gone to one?
So normally there'll be some way to get either USBE or SU credit for those conferences. If it's a district one, then just basically a certificate from your conference, or if it's in Midas, even if you just have those license hours, it just needs to be a whole day conference. Or I'm going to say half day virtual conference. That's because that's kind of been the norm, and that's how most of these are moving. So I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but for folks in my section, if you tell me you were at a conference and describe a couple of the sessions you went to, that's good enough for me. It doesn't have to be on a transcript anywhere, but that's just for my folks. I just need to know that you were at one. Good question. Does anyone know of any other upcoming conferences, opportunities for anybody? Okay.
What about Canvas?
The CanvasCon?
CanvasCon is October 15th, I think.
Yep, that'll work. That would be a great one. And I'll try to get that information added in here. And maybe I can just do that right now. CanvaCon, is that what they call it? CanvasCon? We'll put the dates and stuff in there so that folks can jump in on that if they'd like. And if you don't know about it already, I think you've seen probably announcement in this course. I don't know how much people read Canvas announcements when they jump to their dashboard, but Reimagine Teaching program. This is a program from UEN through CARES funding. And if you need to sign up by October 1st and then complete just 4 hours of professional development on your own. It can't be something you were paid for by your district, like time that your district paid you for. But this would count. But you won't have this on a transcript before the end of December 1st. I would vouch for you, though. We could probably make something like that work. But just sign up by October 1st. There's no form yet as far as submitting your hours, but do 4 hours of PD on your own, and UEN will send you a $200 Amazon gift card. It's a great opportunity. There's enough funding for every teacher and library professional and things like that in the state to participate. But if people haven't signed up by October 1st, then UEN will start kind of moving that money in other directions. So please take advantage of it. Even if you do sign up, you're not requiring yourself to do it. It's just making you eligible for the program. And all you have to do is basically go in and put your name, email address, and what district you work for. And that's all you need to do. So sign up for that, get that money. You guys you've done so much work. It's more of a token. They're not really trying to pay you for your time. It's just kind of a thank you for doing what you do in the adverse conditions that you've been in. Okay, we're starting to run long, so let me get through this. This is just a quick shameless plug. I am hosting Utah Ed Chat this week. Jared talked about Utah Ed Chat last week. This coming Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on Twitter, just follow the hashtag UTEDCHAT and join in the conversation. Love to have you there. And the topic is going to be maximizing the tools you already have. And so if you have any ideas or suggestions about good questions that would lead to good discussion on that, send them along. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do on that yet, but I'll be working on that soon. But I'd love to have you guys there. I joined my last one last night. I loved it. It was a great experience, and got to talk to and meet some great new people. And again, reach out to your instructors if you're struggling, if you have questions. Our contact information is there. For me, email or text me anytime. I've got my phone set so that if you're not in my contact list, your phone call will go to my messages because I get so many spam calls. So text me first. I'm happy to talk on the phone or send me an email. And I'm sure the rest of the folks are happy for you to reach out to them with questions or concerns anytime. That's it. The journey doesn't end at the destination. We're all learning from this path. It's as we go along, we're just adapting and changing and using our plastic muscles in our brain every day. So any last comments or questions or anything else? And if not, I'll leave you with a peek into my tech setup here. I've got my laptop set up on a nice little Kleenex case. And thankfully my dogs have been mostly quiet for this. I appreciate you guys making the effort to join us for the discussion. This is being recorded, and I'll have this posted to our Canvas course within 15, 20 minutes or so. Any questions, comments before we go? I'll turn off my screen share. And if you want, turn on your camera and say goodbye or check out or whatever you need to do. If you want to hang around and ask specific questions, that's cool too. Otherwise, thanks for coming. Appreciate you all. We'll see you next week. See you, Jill.
Frank, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat said that Carol was running another Zoom meeting for Tony. Are we responsible for anything she might have said?
She's probably just following the slide.
Okay.
Hopefully she was sending, I think she was sending people over here. I'll check with Carol and see what she covered, if she covered anything outside of what was on my slides. So if you were here, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay. Appreciate the question. Rachel has a private question. There is an FAQ page on that link, the reimagine.uen.org. I'm not sure. I think you just have to be licensed. I don't know if it has to be, if you have to have an active position or not, but go to the site and there's a help or frequently asked questions page, and that should answer that for you. Okay, cool. Okay. Good deal. All right. Any other questions? I'm going to stop the recording.